All right, so in this episode of Key Health Issues for Young People, we are looking at sexual health and relationships. So sexual health and relationships is purely issues related to sexual behaviours, STIs, so sexually transmitted infections, consent, and relationships. So some key statistics for us all. 47% of years 10 to 12 students that were surveyed have had sexual intercourse. Now, that's a lot higher than what I thought it would be, to be honest. I certainly know that when I was in high school, those numbers were significantly lower. But yeah, it doesn't mean they're having it regularly either. They may have just had it one time and that's it. But I don't know. I think that's high. I'm surprised by that number. Now, chlamydia is high. The numbers are high for chlamydia, not only in our local area, but just across Australia in general. It is sort of trending upwards as well, but because the other STIs are trending downwards, it sort of has this even curve as to overall there's no real change. But chlamydia is bad, okay? And chlamydia is easily treated. You should know all this from sex education, but chlamydia is very easily contracted. It's also very easily treated. It can be undetectable until it is, too late, because what can happen is it can actually cause scarring on the inside, specifically over the testicles and the ovaries, and therefore can actually render people infertile for life. So you don't want to be making a mistake one night at a party and not get that checked out, and then all of a sudden you can no longer have babies ever for your life. All right, that would be horrendous. But like I said, it's also very easily treatable. So we'll talk about testing over here. And the main reason that this is increasing, and because of this high number, only 38% of sexually active, young people are using condoms, so barrier methods. So there are many, many methods of contraception that we go through in sex education, but only the barrier methods are the ones that are going to stop you from contracting STIs. And the main ones being the male condom and the female condom. The female condom is obviously a bit fiddly and annoying. The male condom is so easy to use, okay? They've designed it that way. There is no reason why you shouldn't be using one every time, okay? Because if you use these every time, then this wouldn't be a thing, okay? Trends. So STIs, as I just said before, the overall, the levels are high, but most of that is from chlamydia itself. Overall, the levels are not increasing or decreasing, but chlamydia is sort of slowly going up and has been going up for a very, very long time now, okay, because of some stuff that we'll talk about over here. But in saying that, the communication around consent and what's right and what's not okay, that's also increasing, which is good, okay? So despite STIs going up and lots of people engaging in this behavior, there's also been some really good education around communication and is this okay, is this not okay, etc. So that's actually a good thing. That's positive. So causes. Why are these things bad? All right. So first of all, lack of education. We do teach it in our curriculum here at schools. So there's no real reason why that lack of education should be a thing. Whether the child is paying attention or not is probably a different thing. All right. Not using barrier methods, which we talked about earlier. Earlier sexual age. So like I found this number, like 47, like I know it's years 10 to 12 because they didn't survey anyone lower, but it's young. It's really young. Anyway, I'm just being me. That's my opinion. Multiple partners, that didn't used to be a thing, all right? So like when I was younger and then even like when my parents were younger, like yeah, you may have had multiple partners, but it wasn't like it was today, okay? Generally, you had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever, and you sort of stuck with them. But these days, with the advent of, certain apps, which I'm not going to name, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, it's easy for people to find a partner for the night or the day or whatever and just have that thing going on, okay? And last one, alcohol. Alcohol's always been a cause, all right? Everyone knows that alcohol being a depressant lowers your nervous system, lowers your inhibitions, you're more likely to do things, and sometimes those things ends up being this thing. So protective factors, how do we stop bad things happening? Good communication, all right, but I've already talked about that communication is actually being good at the moment. STI knowledge, so the actual dangers of chlamydia, how easy it is to get and why it's actually bad. So a lot of people don't really know that, even though we do talk about it at school. The usage of contraception and mainly barrier methods is so important, because I know a lot of people in like long-term relationships will stop using barrier methods and just rely on other methods of contraception, like the daily pill. However, you know, without sounding mean, there's no guarantee that either of those people are being loyal to each other. So even though they're in a long-term relationship, they may also be doing some things on the side and not using barriers, and then they go back with their loyal partner. And anyway, you get the picture. The HPV vaccination, so that's been around now for, I want to say 20 years. I could be wrong there, but that's been good, right, for females. Regular STI testing. So if you are engaging in like this appy type multiple partner stuff and you're regularly engaging in this types of activities, it's so easy to go to a doctor's surgery. I think you can even get them online now, and they get them shipped out to your house. It's, you pee in a cup, pretty much, and then they send it away for testing, and then they know whether you've got some things or not. Obviously, if it's more severe, then you'll need to get blood tests. But if you were needing to get a blood test for an STI, you would probably have some pretty severe symptoms at that point, and you'd probably be seeing a doctor anyway. And then finally, the biggest protective factor that has always been around is just you personally having strong morals, and probably modeled from your family, okay? So having good family supports, so families that don't really encourage this type of promiscuous behavior, encourage good quality relationships, that type of stuff is probably going to lead you to not engaging in a lot of this stuff, potentially. So in conclusion, sexual health education services, so like sexual services, we have a couple of sexual health clinics here in the Newcastle area, but they're more rampant in like Sydney and stuff. But there are basically, there's little clinics, just like a GP, but they just specialize in sexual health, and you can just walk in and talk to some people and, you know, get what you need done. Anyway, so sexual health education services and usage of barriers and contraception methods is imperative to reduce STI transmissions. All right? Very simple. And that's sexual health. Thanks.